Hey everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our series on becoming a more effective sound person. Today is our final installment. We're going to be talking about what do you do during Sunday morning. And I'm going to give you several things that I know will help make an immediate impact. Now, some of these things are just common sense and we're not going to spend a lot of time on them, but there are a few key things that I hope will inspire you guys, maybe cause a little creativity, and help your overall service flow. So let's dive right in. First couple of things I want to share with you are just common sense. One, arrive early. Make sure that you've got everything set up before your worship team arrives for their Sunday morning sound check. It's just good practice, good common sense. It'll help you tremendously, and it also helps the team. Secondly, you just want to double check your settings on your soundboard. Make sure they're where you left them when you left your practice throughout the week. If your church did have an event between your practice time and Sunday morning, make sure that those levels are set back and those settings are back to where they were. It just gives you a good starting point for what you need to do for the rest of the service. So make sure that those two things are done first. Number 3, you want to make sure that you volume check all of your videos and all of your speakers for the morning. I've seen church sound people actually forget this, and it causes them trouble later on because a video will come on and it's way too loud and they weren't prepared for that. So you want to make sure, make it a priority. Make sure you're running through all your videos, you're noting where those sound levels are, and then make sure that you're grabbing all of your people that are going to be on stage. Make sure that they are mic checking their mics so that you can get levels set for them. It's very important. Number 4, and this one is something that a lot of teams don't do but should. Make sure that you have a quick meeting with your team to go through the worship order for that morning. I know a lot of churches use Planning Center as a resource, and they are awesome because you can print out an order of service. You want to make sure that every person on your team has that order of service, and then you get together to make sure you go through it so that everybody is on the same page. One of the things that we discovered here at CWC was that we were not making technical mistakes during big elements of our service, like during a song or when the pastor's preaching. But where we got into trouble was through the transitions. So we started talking through all of our transitions from one thing to the next as we walked through the order of service. It had a tremendous impact, and people were prepared for what was happening next, and that eliminated probably 99% of our technical flubs on a Sunday morning. So it's very important that you do this. I think it'll have an immediate impact. Number 5, make sure that everything is helping to create an inviting atmosphere for people coming into your auditorium or sanctuary on Sunday morning. And this is where you as a sound person kind of cross over into your first impressions team. You want to make sure that everything that a person is experiencing before the start of service is where it needs to be. It's very pleasant for them. It creates that atmosphere that you want to create. Give you a couple of examples. Number 1, let's say you have a separate mix going to your lobby. Well, you want to make sure that the volume level of whatever you're doing out in the lobby is where it needs to be. So go out and check that mix. Likewise, if you have people coming into your auditorium or sanctuary and you're playing pre-service music, you want to make sure that that pre-service music is appropriate to what's going on that day. Maybe you're going to have a very celebratory service, so you want to make sure that all your songs are upbeat in nature. Maybe you're gearing towards a more reflective service, and more slower or mid-tempo songs would be more appropriate. It creates the atmosphere. Even if it's subconscious, it helps create that atmosphere before service even starts. Also, pay attention to who's in your auditorium before you pick out your songs. One of the things that we did here at CWC is we picked out some really cool electronic dance music that was upbeat. We were excited about it, and we ran that pre-service. However, we noticed that it was a lot of our older congregational members that were actually in here way before service started, and our younger families and our teenagers and people that would really enjoy that were not coming in until we were running our countdown, which has different music. So what we did was we switched and we tailored our music, still upbeat or reflective depending upon what we wanted, but we tailored it to be more worship music for our congregational members that were actually in the auditorium or sanctuary when we were playing it. So be intentional about that, but make sure that you're helping to create that atmosphere before service even starts. Number 6, guys, make sure that you as a sound person are ready to go at least 5 minutes before service starts. One of the things that we do here at CWC is we actually run a 5-minute countdown before service time, and it has an audio bed with it. So our sound person has to be here behind the board, ready to go to make that transition, because if he doesn't, service starts late. And so they endeavor to be here even before 5 minutes before service starts. So you want to make sure that you are ready to go so that when your team walks out on stage or whatever's going to happen first, you are behind your board, you're ready to go. It's going to help tremendously. Number 7, and this is probably the biggest thing that you will do as a sound person on Sunday morning. You need to dynamically mix the entire service. There is no such thing as a set it and forget it mix. That doesn't exist. Even when you listen to CDs, they're doing what's called automation, which means they're setting up volume levels to increase and decrease throughout the entire song. It's very common, but it's something that you should endeavor to do as a sound person. Why? It adds depth and musical interest to your mix so that not everything sounds flat. And this is where you have to be intelligent and make some really creative decisions. One of the things that I've done as a worship leader is I have given my sound person that authority and that power and freedom to pull up and down instruments as they see fit if that's going to make the overall worship experience sound better. Say, for example, you have a rhythm electric guitar, and all they're doing is a distortion setting, and they're just strumming behind, and it creates a nice foundation, but it doesn't need to be super present in the mix. Well, you need to pull that down where it needs to be so that it can be what it's designed to be, which is that musical foundation for that sustained, distorted sound, for example. I've also given my sound person freedom that if he feels like something needs to be out of the mix, pull the volume level down completely. If there's something that's off pitch, we want to continue to project the best thing that we can for a best sonic environment for our congregation, so lower that volume level until the vocalist gets back on pitch and then raise it back up. You have to exercise creative freedom, and you have to do it intelligently so that the overall sound mix is something that is pleasing and dynamic and is something that the congregation can engage with. This is why it's so important for you as a sound person. You are helping to communicate well and effectively the original intent of what the worship team is trying to do. But to do that, you have to be really good, really intelligent, really creative with your choices, and that just comes through practice. So I would encourage you, dynamically mix the entire service. Now, there are some times where your pastor will be talking and he gets soft. Well, you might have to kick up his volume a little bit. However, he gets loud, you might have to pull it down. So just make sure that you are actively engaged with what's happening in sound for the entire service. There's no point in time where you get to check out. It's the most important thing that you can do as a sound person, and I cannot stress that enough. This is where your true ministry and gifting come into play. So make sure you're dynamically mixing the entire service. Finally, guys, after service is all over with and everything's said and done, don't just leave it. Make sure that you clean up. Make sure that everything's turned off. Your sound booth is neat and organized. Everything on stage is put up where it needs to be. It will help you tremendously as you come in for your next week's practice so that you can just go ahead and grab everything and put it to where it needs to be. Well, guys, I hope this video series has helped you. Sound people are one of the most important, critical, and vital ministries in the church world today. And I know oftentimes you guys don't get thanked enough, so I want to take the opportunity as a worship pastor myself. Thank you guys for everything that you do and that you bring to your church ministry each and every week. You are super, super important. You are valued. And for somebody out here who depends on you guys, thank you so much for what you do. I really appreciate it. Well, like and subscribe this video series. If this is something that you feel another person might benefit from, share it with them. And as always, leave comments and questions below. I love interacting with you guys and answering those. Until next time, have a great day.